All right, let's talk about something that a lot of us feel but maybe don't talk about. It's that quiet, nagging anxiety that can actually come from, well, from trying to do the right thing and save money. Specifically, that feeling you get when you're saving without any clear finish line in sight.
I know, it sounds totally backwards, right? Saving money is supposed to make you feel secure. But does it? Or does it sometimes just feel like you're stuck in the state of being almost safe? For a lot of people, the responsible act of saving just turns into this constant low-grade hum of worry that you just don't have enough yet.
I mean, the whole point of a rainy day fund is to buy yourself some peace of mind. But here's the paradox. Savings without a finish line doesn't create peace. It creates background tension. If you never define what done looks like, you never actually get to enjoy the peace you were working so hard to create.
So let's actually break this down. We're going to call this whole phenomenon the never-ending fund. It's this trap we can fall into where we're just endlessly building this savings account that, honestly, no matter how big it gets, never really feels finished.
Does this cycle sound familiar? I bet it does. First, you're told to save for an emergency. So you do. You're being responsible. You watch the balance creep up, which should feel great. But then, what happens? There's no bell that rings, no finish line tape to run through. So the saving just continues, and that almost safe feeling just becomes your new normal.
So how do we break out of this loop? Well, first, we have to kind of push back on some of the standard advice we've all heard a million times, this idea that some magic number is going to be the solution to all this anxiety.
We all know the rules of thumb. Save 3 months of your expenses, or maybe 6 months, or even a year's worth. And look, those numbers aren't bad, they're just incomplete. They're just math. A number by itself doesn't actually solve the real-world human feeling of security. It's not decisive, and it often just ties up money and keeps us stuck in that almost safe zone forever. And this brings us to the core idea, the big shift in thinking. We need to stop seeing our rainy day fund as just a big pile of money and start seeing it as a tool with one very specific job.
Okay, this is the crucial reframe. This fund has one job, and one job only. To be a shock absorber. When some financial surprise hits, this money steps in so that you don't have to panic or make a bad decision, like selling investments when the market's down. That's it. And here's the key part. Once it's big enough to do that job reliably for your life, its work is done. It's complete. Finished.
And this is so important to get. Piling more and more money into this fund after it can already do its job, that's not adding more protection. It's just excess caution. And that caution actually has a cost. It can tie up money that could be doing other things for you, like growing your investments or helping you reach other life goals. So, what this all means is that the real finish line for your rainy day fund isn't a number you find in a book or on a spreadsheet. It's a feeling. It's about how you react and behave when life inevitably throws you a curveball.
Which, of course, leads to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? If it's not about hitting a certain number, how in the world do you actually know when you've reached enough? How do you know when you can finally stop?
Well, the real signs are all about your behavior. You know you're there when a surprise car repair is an annoyance, not a full-blown crisis. When a bigger problem like an unexpected medical bill feels manageable. Your gut reaction shifts from, oh no, what do I do, to, okay, let's figure this out. You have time to think. And maybe the biggest sign of all, you just stop checking the balance all the time. The fund has done its job so well that it just fades into the background of your daily life. That's the real feeling of security. And it is so crucial to remember that this enough point is deeply personal. If your income swings up and down, or if you have kids, your number is going to look really different from someone with a steady paycheck and low expenses. Your health, your job security, even just your personality, it all plays a part. That's why just copying someone else's 6-month rule so often fails. It's not calibrated for your life. So this brings us to the final and maybe the most powerful idea here, and that is the incredible freedom that comes from consciously, actively deciding that you are finished.
After all that work, all that saving and discipline, what do you think is the single most important step in this whole process? It's this: knowing when to stop. This is the one action that actually unlocks the psychological benefit, that peace of mind you were saving for in the first place. Without this step, you're not really building a tool, you're just hoarding cash. Let's look at why this is so freeing. First, you acknowledge the fund's job is done. It's a shock absorber, and it's ready. Second, you intentionally break that habit of adding just a little more because of some vague anxiety. And that conscious act of stopping, that is what finally lets you feel the win. You've created a boundary, and that's the moment your effort finally turns into freedom.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Structure requires boundaries, and boundaries are what turn effort into freedom. All that hard work you put into saving, it's the boundary, the finish line, that finally converts all that effort into a genuine feeling of security.
Now, of course, this does not mean you stop saving. Not at all. It means you get to give your money new, more exciting jobs. Once the rainy day fund is fully funded, you can redirect that cash flow toward other things, investing for the long term, saving for a down payment, even a vacation fund. It keeps your whole financial system clear and purposeful. And really, that's the whole takeaway here. Stop thinking of your rainy day fund as a scorecard of your wealth. It's not. It's the concrete foundation, it's the solid ground that you can then stand on to safely begin building real wealth. So I'll just leave you with this question. Once you've built that foundation, once you've declared it strong and complete, the really exciting part begins. The question is no longer, is it enough? The question is, what are you going to build next?